And today I'm going to take you back to 1990, and the film is Misery. It's directed by Rob Reiner. Now, Rob Reiner also directed he also directed This Is Spinal Tap and When Harry Met Sally, so quite an experienced director by that time. Misery is set in a snowy, mountainous, remote area. Author Paul Sheldon, who is not Sidney Sheldon, by the way, is played by James Caan, and he's just finished writing another novel, but not one of his usual novels. He's become prominent as a novelist by writing a series of romance novels based around the character Misery Chastain. But he wanted to break away from these while he still has the chance to diversify. And he's written the final novel in that series, which kills off Misery Chastain. Now, he begins driving his car from the remote snowy mountain hotel that he was writing the novel in to his home in the city. But shortly, he loses control of the car in a heavy snowstorm and crashes. Now, he's rescued and dragged out of the car and nursed back to health by a lady, Annie Wilkes, who, when he recovers consciousness 2 days later, she informs him that she is his #1 fan. And she's also a nurse. Now, she's attended to his broken legs and other wounds as best she could and intends him to recover there in her house. She feeds him. She cares for him. She asks if she can read his freshly written novel's manuscript. And then she gets a bit irate about it because she gets irate about the swearing at first. It's not what she's used to. But other than that, she idolizes him and keeps feeding him and keeps reading his material. And we discover that she's even named her pet pig Misery. She gets to the end of reading his new manuscript and is livid that Paul has written Misery Chastain out by dying in childbirth. She's not only angry, but she smashes some wooden furniture against the wall above Paul's head. Now, Paul tries to escape, but he hasn't healed enough to move his legs. So he tries dragging himself from the bed across the floor to the door of his room, but he finds he's locked in. And later she heavily persuades him to burn his manuscript. And then she persuades him to write an entirely new novel about misery. Now she goes out, buys him a typewriter and some typing paper. The film is quite excellent, and it was based on an earlier book, Misery, by Stephen King. For a thriller, it has quite a few comedic moments. Kathy Bates was an unknown actor at the time that she took on the role of Annie Wilkes. The role was offered to Bette Midler. She turned it down for being too violent, but then she regretted it later. James Caan had to lie in bed for 15 weeks during the shooting of the film. In the Stephen King book, Annie uses an axe to actually sever Paul's foot, but Rob Reiner made the change for the film, which was a good decision because it steered the audience away from completely hating Kathy. And James Caan wore special prosthetic legs made out of gelatin with a wire-rigged structure into which he inserted his real legs up to the knee to get the required effect when the ankle was hit by the sledgehammer. Rob Reiner watched every Hitchcock thriller to absorb how to shoot a thriller, and Rob Reiner also cameos as the helicopter pilot when they're searching for the car. Kathy Bates was used to theatre acting and rehearsed a lot. James Caan preferred rehearsing as little as possible, and this difference in acting methods caused a lot of tension between them, and Reiner told Kathy to use this frustration in her character. But nevertheless, she became more and more isolated as she remained in character after the day's shoot. The film became a Broadway play starring Bruce Willis in 2015. 1990, Misery. Have a very happy week. Thank you very much.